Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hub Day, episode number 5. Today I'm joined by two very special guests from AM2PRO. But before I talk about that, as always with every show we do of the Hub Day, you can use the hashtag to get involved with the show. Let us know what you think of it. Today we're going to be talking about kind of PlayStation again, like we did last week, but obviously we have both Kieran and Fraser with me, or better known as Red Devil and Silverback from AM2PRO. If you want to say hello, guys.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up? Just a bit of forewarning.
Obviously, you two are affiliated with AM2PRO. If you just want to kind of give a bit of background of how you kind of got in partnership with the organisation and what you actually do at the organisation. If we start with Silverback, then we'll go to Red Devil.
Yeah, it was one of those things. We were creating, myself and Kieran were creating an online tournament side of things. Got spotted by AM2PRO. Then obviously AM2PRO with the LAN come up, we sort of helped out Carl, who's the main director. I then ended up from the event pushing from there, becoming the events and media director for them guys and promoting it from there. But I've been doing this events wise, this is my second year sort of doing events and stuff.
You've been around for a while, it's fair to say.
Yeah, casting wise, I've been around for a fair while. But
if I'm not mistaken, you actually casted at AM2PRO as well as kind of doing some stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, my main primary thing was to cast there, but I ended up running the production.
So you did it. You were juggling like all over the place. You were like coming here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, first day I didn't cast at all, and then the second day I was like, I'm gonna cast a couple. Lucky enough, casted the final with Epsilon and that with iRage. So it was really good. It was nice to see. It was, just to quickly point out, it was actually the biggest attended LAN, or the largest attended LAN outside of America in just under 2 years. Yeah, just under 2 years.
That was what, about 60 odd teams there? So
60.
It's a very good turnout. And what about yourself, Kieran? How did you kind of get involved with AM2PRO?
Well, basically, as Fraser said, we were creating an online tournament system where we wanted to push the EU scene, because we were fed up of all the people complaining about how awful the scene was.
You wanted to basically take it into your own hands.
We wanted to push it further, because we've got all these ideas that we want to implement, and we still do, and we will be implementing them further down the line.
Yeah,
there's some big stuff to come. I can guarantee that.
I'm going to try and get it all out of you today. Don't worry.
Oh no, you really won't. Literally, we've got so much planned, and that was literally where it was. We were creating this thing, and AM2PRO wanted to start doing events and everything like that, and that's sort of what we wanted to do. So we just thought, why not all come together and create the one-stop shop? Altogether, I'm not really known at all. That's mainly because I work in the background.
Yeah, I mean, the background people I always feel are the most kind of, people that deserve all the credit but never get it, because obviously they're not at the forefront. But I mean, what you do is probably without a doubt phenomenal for the organisation. It's just a shame, that's how it is in the industry.
Yeah, basically I've been involved since I was about 13, 14 in the scene altogether. That's like Halo and everything as well. I worked alongside Status Quo, Enable, Flamesword, everything like that, for their 2012 MOG Champs win. That was great. And then basically I ended up TEC, the great and wonderful TEC.
Good old tech.
And then just basically I've been in the backgrounds ever since completely.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Obviously, you guys are affiliated with AM2PRO. This episode of the Hub Date, we're going to be talking about, from kind of an organisation and an event provider's perspective, I kind of get my words out, about what happens if the scene actually switches over, or hopefully get some, good juicy information from you guys of, if you have anything planned for this happening, etc., etc. So the first question I want to kind of propose to you both is, let's say, hypothetically, the scene does switch over to PlayStation 4. What are the big drawbacks to this for you as an organisation? Let's start with Silverback.
Yeah, hypothetically, I think that's as close as you're going to get to it. In honesty.
Okay, I see.
Hypothetically, if it switches over, the EU competitive scene, I think, is going to be pretty much damaged. I don't see any organisations apart from one I know that have PlayStation events online, that have had a huge impact. There isn't the competitive side on PlayStation as there is on Xbox.
Yeah,
Never has been. You know what I mean? So for them to try and step into that arena, not only are they going to have to back every esports organisation, they're going to have to expect at least 2 years of not having that many teams at the events. I don't personally see that being a huge boost to them. What I can see, and this is I think where we need to be careful and watch the lines, I can see the DLCs coming out first on PlayStation. I cannot see competitive side being moved over. So that's how I see it.
So you could maybe see a marketing deal with Activision from Sony's standpoint, but maybe not coming into the actual esports kind of zone, what Xbox obviously dominates.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see DLC much. I mean, we've only seen one map, Drift, being used in competitive.
And that was at a push. That was with them basically forcing it upon the players.
So you've got no option. If they do that, then there has to be somewhere in place with companies like ourselves, Gfinity, ESWC, that they can have that free DLC already downloaded on an Xbox or PS4.
But obviously that won't happen if it's I'm with you.
They're not. I don't see that beneficial. It's a pure public thing. I hope they do this correctly. I don't see how it's going to be beneficial to Activision. We all know, Xbox did have a bum year when it comes to Xbox One. We know this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very evident that PlayStation as a console has sold more. I think last time I looked at it, it was about 20.2 million. That was about end of March, and compared to, I think, just under 10 million for Xbox. But that statistic was way back in about November, and since then they have not released statistics. So it's arguable.
Yeah. That's the big thing is the fact that the other thing is statistics. If we break those statistics down, I think you'll find that there's still the same number of esports players on Call of Duty on an Xbox One as there was a 360. I think it's the market of the more public sector that had the issue.
Yeah.
So I've seen more teams on Xbox One this year than I have done on 360.
Awesome. Okay, so from Kieran, your perspective, say the scene was to switch over, and say in a way players were forced to switch over because that's where the money at. From your perspective of being an organisation, would you be willing to switch over, or would you be more opposed to it and sticking on Xbox One and providing tournaments from that end?
I think it would really depend on the rest of the community. Like if everyone switches over, then I don't see any choice for us.
Yeah, you're kind of forced into it. So you wouldn't be kind of the one outright rebel being like, no, we'll stick on an Xbox, deal with it.
Exactly, yeah. Like in the future, we want to be able to care for both. Basically, we want to be able to have events online, and I don't know, maybe some offline. I'm not 100% sure on that yet.
Yeah.
But we want to be able to work both communities.
I will say, just to interrupt you, while you're going on this, we have actually spoken to Sony.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you tell us what you've spoken about?
Carl, our other director, has actually spoken to Sony. There is no confirmation coming out from Sony on that level.
Okay. Very interesting.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I just wanted to put that out there before people think we're trying to jump on the bandwagon on that side of things. I just want people to understand that we are a community-run organisation.
Yeah.
If the community says
tailored
something,
towards the community.
Yeah, we bring it on. It's for gamers, by gamers, and that's how we have been, and that's how we will always be.
It's literally like before the last LAN event, we asked about what rules, what they wanted banned. And at the time, no one was banning the likes of Danger Close and all the stuff that people really wanted out. We were the only ones to be able to do that.
Yeah, and then that's very interesting because obviously this weekend as well. Sorry to interrupt. This weekend we've obviously seen ESWC bring back recovery, and I think that's a very crucial thing that makes your organisation stand out from others. The fact that you're actually willing to say, "Hey, look, it's clear the community don't like this. Let's take it out." I know. I'm not a big fan of stripping the game down, but when the community is shouting at developers and organisations that are up there and can make decisions, and they're not being listened to, I think your organisation is doing a great job in doing that.
the big thing, quickly on that, is you say no one likes stripping the game down. We've got to remember that this game isn't designed for esports. This is designed for public. So if we had a purely esports designed game, you would see less guns, and you'd see more guns brought in tailored to esports. So when we look at stripping the game down, I mean, there's teams out there now that are talking about, can we stop the shotguns?
Yeah, it's all sorts of the gentleman's rules and all sorts.
So it's how we look at it. I mean, teams, Epson I know, have asked for scrims with a decent setup, i.e. no shotguns and everything else. So if that's the kind of way we're going to go, then we'll listen to them. So it's the same as if we're looking at PlayStation and it's something that is going to be looked at, then we will look at it. We're not going to say no. We've invested heavily, but on the other side, if everybody else jumps over to PlayStation, that leaves a big market for Xbox One.
That's very true. Yeah, because obviously, as you said, there's only really one organisation. I can name a few off the top of my head that have actually kind of made a name for themselves in the PlayStation 4 community, but that's a very hard thing to do with the kind of the small band of competitive gamers that are over there, with most of the money being on Xbox One. But kind of spiraling into the next question. Last week we were talking, I think I was talking with Chris from Desato about if the scene was to switch over, this is all absolutely out of speculation and hypothetically, because we honestly don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. None of us are in a position to say what's going to happen. But, what if, the scene did switch over and then PlayStation or Sony were giving kind of discounts to event holders to give them PlayStations, or maybe there was a system where that they could loan out PlayStation 4s for the community. Do you think that would be something that could work and kind of make the transition smoothly?
Yeah. They're going to have to do something like
because they can't just switch over the scene and expect the same numbers to competed on Xbox just to switch over. Because I spoke to many people from the community that have said, if it switches over, I'm going over to like CSGO or this, that, and the other.
There's one company that can do it straight, and that's MLG. MLG already have the PlayStation 4s in house. They've got them. We know that. Everybody knows that. So they could do that. Sony would then have to come up with some sort of scheme, trade-in scheme, trade-up scheme, whatever way they want to look at it. Otherwise, that scene will just not grow, and it will stay within MLG. And then you'll see the same progression that we're seeing in EU now. All of a sudden, 3 companies pop up, and they have it in a short space of time, and that is really not what EU needs.
Yeah. Kind of moving on from that, you talk about growth. Kieran, what do you think about in terms of growth, the scene? What do you think will happen to the scene if it does switch over to PlayStation 4? Do you think we're going to see a massive decline, or how do you think it would go?
I think it would be a massive decline because, as Fraser was saying, people would switch over to other games, and that wouldn't necessarily be PlayStation 4 games. Yeah, it would either be like Halo or CS:GO.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, if yourselves, say hypothetically, stayed on Xbox One, that may sway quite a lot of competitors to obviously stay on Xbox One as well. Therefore, kind of evening out the competitive community into 2 different consoles. But it's a tricky thing because obviously it all boils down to money. I think we all know that the reason everything's on Xbox at the moment is because they've obviously invested their time and money into the esport. And we have to be ever so thankful for what they've done for the scene. I think sometimes they don't get the credit they deserve. But is there anything, say the scene does switch over, is there anything Sony can do to help organisers of events out? Is there anything that Xbox aren't doing at the moment that you would like them to do?
I have a big issue with this. I think Xbox and Activision need to get behind small organisations.
Because at the moment it just seems like MLG and maybe Gfinity.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I think they need to get behind small organisations. I think they need to say, okay, you're streaming this, let's have a look. You've got this event, what can we give you, what can we help you with?
Indeed.
Activision and Xbox can look at companies and say, look, these guys are streaming, would you like to come in? There's an affiliate, maybe some form of affiliation program where companies, energy drinks can then get involved, and you'll see sponsorships, which is going to increase prize pots.
Indeed,
it's going to increase teams. I would love to see AM2PRO on that Xbox dashboard advertising.
Yeah, precisely. I mean,
the fact that we're holding the LAN.
I think a good example of what you talk about sponsorship is obviously the Sun investing into Gfinity with a 2-year deal with them, obviously bumping up the Gfinity Open a couple of weeks ago by 5,000 up to 10,000, what I think was absolutely amazing. If we can get more organisations like them and sponsors to the EU scene, I really think we'll see a spike in growth for the EU scene.
I agree.
Can I point something out there? Was that Gfinity prize pot in dollars or pounds?
In pounds.
It was in pounds, okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
I just want to point out, without the Sun being involved, ours is 7k. So
okay. So with the Sun involved, is it 14k or? Is that a direct kind of invitation to the Sun to kind of come and sponsor you?
Hey, we can speak to them.
We're happy to work with anybody. We've always said, if Multiplay, Gfinity, or anybody asked us to help or anything, we will help anybody, because I am tired of seeing such a fragmented community.
Yeah, we talked about this pre-show.
You will get slated, right, for doing something good, joining an organisation, or your level ability to play, or the fact that you've got no hair. You get slated for people. There's a lack of support, and there's a lack of teams.
We need to kind of unite together then, by what you're saying. Yeah, that's about
totally.
It's like online tournament. There's about 30 different providers at the moment. Whereas if, say, that got condensed even by half, then they could provide more and more tournaments.
The quality would go up and up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
I'm with you.
They'd be less split between them all.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking forward to going to see Cityland. That's all I'm going to say on that fact. But Cityland, they're stepping something up.
Yeah, they're doing an awesome job of what they're proposing.
Massive.
It's huge, absolutely huge.
Like 10k prize pool, if I'm not mistaken. So
that itself is split over 3 different games, I think.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't know about that. But obviously, they've got actually, if I'm not mistaken, funding from Peterborough City Council and a couple other, like I think the Peterborough Football Club as well. So, they're obviously going the right way about it.
Planned, and we know a lot.
Come on, why can't you tell me? You're kind of feeding me the bait.
No, we know a few people.
Okay.
I can't say any more than that fact, but big up to the guys. Just watch that.
What guys? You're not giving me anything.
We're not going to give
all the Sayland guys. Just keep an eye out for them.
Okay.
Because we know what they've got planned, and we even know what they've got planned for the future, and that's a lot of big stuff. That's a better promote for them.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I really love your mentality and kind of your motto in the community of just wanting to help and promote esports, regardless of money and it comes into it a bit, but obviously just wanting to support other organisations as much as your own. So I do have to agree with you. I feel when you say that the community is fragmented, I think that is right to a certain extent. There is a very much presence that organisations don't kind of come together to support each other. You don't see like when one LAN's going on, the other organisation going, oh, come and check out this, so-and-so are playing, etc. So I do feel like that. I think as well with the organisations and the amount of roster changes we have as well, that kind of makes the community a bit chaotic as well. But I think going forwards, if there's more organisations like yourselves and willing to kind of help each other out, I feel like the community can only grow. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, totally. I remember when Tech sponsored 3 teams that weren't even theirs.
Okay.
I remember that, yeah.
And they helped fund them. We don't see that no more because people are too quick to snake other people.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that, but I totally agree.
The only person I've seen that's actually like that or anything like that was actually Hex.
Yeah.
When one of the teams from Europe couldn't get their flights got cancelled or something. Yeah. Yeah,
it was Reedy when they were at Marky and that when they were at Basic, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then Hex just came out and done that. He's an amazing guy.
But that's that sort of stuff. That's the big thing. I would love to call out to every single Call of Duty player out there and say, look, don't hate on people, okay? I know there's banter, and I know there's levels of it, but sometimes you have to look at this realistically here.
There has to be professionalism.
Yeah, you've got to be professional about what you do, what you say, and everything else. I'm not going to admit that I'm the best at that because I'm not.
But you can only preach it. You've got to start somewhere. You're doing a good job by starting and trying to get on the right track and bring the community to a state where everyone's kind of respectable and everyone's being respected to other organisations.
It's a big thing as well because Alds now will kick a team if they lose 3-4 games on the bounce. The best way a team can ever learn is by losing. You lose as a team, you win as a team.
Yeah, you learn
that is standard.
Yeah, okay. Bringing this back kind of on track towards, consoles and what would happen. For you guys as an organisation, AM2PRO, obviously you've got an event coming up, I think, sometime in July. I'm not sure.
July 4th and 5th.
Okay, awesome.
In the Norbert Castle in Blackpool.
So, would you say if the scene was to switch over to PlayStation 4 and the Sony console, would you say we could maybe see some organisations deteriorate and fade away?
Yes.
Yeah, because obviously recently, as you stated before, we've had an influx of more organisations coming in. I think we've got more organisations than ever in Europe actually, promoting Call of Duty Esports and actually putting on events. We've got yourselves, Pro Asylum, we've got Gfinity, we've got Multiplay, we've got ESWC, we've got loads of different ones in Europe as well. Exactly.
Everything.
That's the big thing. You hit them now. The amount of organisations. Let's take us out of this picture. Let's look at these teams. There's only 3-4 teams that I think will be able to provide consoles for their teams.
Yeah, we spoke about this last week. I was speaking to Grumpy Gaming from Epsilon, who was saying they could probably fund for their consoles, but for the little teams, the amateur teams, can they realistically afford to go out and buy a brand new PlayStation 4, a SCUF controller, maybe a new headset? It's a lot of money, and we were talking about the transition period needs to be quite prolonged. It needs to be over a long period of time, so it gives players and organisations that time to actually realise, hey, by this point, everything's switching over. We need to have everything in place by this point.
The other thing is as well, is that we were discussing this. MLG and Activision and Xbox are so closely tied in, okay, that I can't actually see this happening. Because obviously Activision, we've seen it with Gfinity where they've got this 18 rule set, okay? And I have my own opinions. I'm not going to go down that route on that. But you see this closest tied in. That is the biggest thing for me. I know they have MLG have the ability to do it, but they're going to have to look at maybe at least 6 months to a year before you even start seeing a competitive side.
I think so much has been, sorry to cut you off, Kieran, I think so much been built around Xbox. There's a lot of infrastructure, obviously the biggest thing being all LANs are played on Xbox. So I agree with you. I feel like it has to happen over a long time. What do you think about it, Kieran?
Well, I was actually just going to say about, how you said about smaller organisations being able to fund it. I don't think that would really be the issue. It's more, would they want to fund it? Because the way that the scene is at the moment is a team is with one team 1 week and half the team are gone the next.
Yeah, that's true.
That's currently the state of the scene, and that's not...
But can we agree that it kind of all boils down to where the money's at? Because obviously the reason why everyone is on Xbox is because that's where all the big tournaments are. That's where you really make the money. That's where, the Gfinity Cups are, where there's quite a lot of money to be won. And I think that's the biggest thing, because ultimately players are wanting to make this into a career. It may not happen in, 1 or 2 years, but ultimately that's the point we're trying to get to. And I feel like they have to follow where the money is.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They will. They will always follow wherever the money is. They will go.
Yeah.
It's like if some random company popped up and said, "Oh yeah, here's the 20k prize pot."
Exactly.
You'll get tons of people going to it.
Precisely, and that's why hopefully AM2PRO and all up and coming events in the UK and even in Europe are hopefully going to do well, because I've seen some of the prize pools, and like yourselves, there's something that is going to bring in the audience, and hopefully this AM2PRO event coming up at the start of July will be really awesome, and hopefully we can see a good turnout and maybe some of the top teams from Europe as well attending. But this is pretty much going to do it for this episode of the Hub Day. As always, do let us know down below or even on Twitter using that hashtag the Hub Day what you thought of what we've been talking about. If the scene was to switch over for yourselves, what would it mean? Maybe you're an Xbox player at the moment and you can't afford to go over to PlayStation. Do let us know using that hashtag. I'd like to thank Kieran and Fraser for both of you coming on. A massive thank you. It's been a really good discussion, and I wish you all the best with AM2PRO in the coming months and weeks, and hopefully I'll eventually get to find out all your plans that you're keeping from me. But this is pretty much going to do it for this episode. If you two want to say goodbye to the audience.
Thanks ever so much. Really appreciate us having us on.
That's not a problem. And Kieran.
And guys, as he said, just keep an eye out. We've got shed loads to come.
They're teasing again. They keep teasing. And what about yourself, Kieran?
Just want to give a massive shout out to everyone that is currently sponsoring us. We've got Astros. Both me and Fraser are rocking them right now. We've got Gamers Apparel, and we've got Shark Controllers. And obviously, go grab your tickets for the event.
And don't forget NetDoomer.
Oh yeah, and my bad.
Just want to add that
Too many
in.
sponsors, too many everything.
Love it.
Awesome
And
stuff.
there's
Plenty more of that to
And
come
there's
as well.
more to come.
Oh my god.
my
Okay,
God.
just stop. I've had enough. Okay, awesome stuff, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Do leave this video a like and do subscribe to the Esports Hub for more content coming very, very soon. As always, guys, we will see you later and have a good day.